You see my transaction history. I think I'm about at 160K. I swiped, I think, 2K a day for a whole month.
What's up, friend? Today I have the unique occasion and pleasure to interview Estimate, known as Odir on Twitch, one of the most known whales in the BDO community right now. We discussed everything pay-to-win related, how much he spends, how does he do it, and in general, we're gonna get a first-person point of view of how a big spender plays the game. I know the interview is pretty long and I am sure it won't be promoted by Kakao, so please share it around if you want to see more content like this. You'll find some timestamps in the description for different topics we discussed. A really big shout out to Estimate for being so kind and open to discuss even some touchy topics. I'll link his stream in the description so you can follow his journey to Panda Baraka. With this said, here's the interview. I guess right away, by saying this, there's a very bad connotation with pay to win and pay to win in games, right? A lot of people don't want to play a pay to win game.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's like bad to play a pay to win game, but like it's really just you can buy accounts out there on so many websites already. So it's either buy an account or you can swipe a little. And BDO's pay to win is only so much unless you really want to push for the very end, right?
Would you
Like,
consider buying an account pay to win?
I mean, if people think spending money in a game, on a game, in any way is pay to win, then I think buying an account is also pay to win, right? You're buying an account, that's everybody else spent hours playing, and you just spend your money and buy an account. And I said you achieve something at a cheaper price than those people who actually swipe in the game. That's even a cheaper way to pay to win. I mean, it's against a lot of the TOSs and all that. I'm not sure if Kakao... Do you know if Kakao says it's not okay to buy an account?
It's 100% not okay. Recently, they said something about them trying to take measures against people doing RMT or just buying accounts, stuff like that. But I don't think they have banned anyone yet. Maybe just Contash for that. But I guess before getting like really into it, I guess people that might watch this video, they might not know who you are, why I'm interviewing you, right? So, well, I discovered you. I think like most people discovered you. So from that one clip of you scrolling down your purchase history, and that is pretty much my introduction to you and most people's introduction to you, probably, because that is an Insta share clip, if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to give like an introduction of who you are.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just a regular person who enjoys my video game. I mean, I work a job. My childhood was in like China, and then I moved to Canada and the US, and then I'm just working in the US now. And I mean, for me, BDO at first, I grinded really hard, and it was a fun game. My friends all introduced me to it. Before this, I was playing WoW, pretty hardcore, and ever since I started playing BDO, at first I still went to my like WoW raids and stuff. But then as soon as Node Wars and stuff got interesting back then, 3 years ago, I was like, I can't do raids in WoW anymore. And I quit WoW for BDO. So BDO is a fun game for me. And that's why at first I spent a lot of time. And then later on, as work started becoming more busy, I decided to start swiping a little more. And then as soon as I started swiping and I started hitting about a 660 gear score, like AP plus DP gear score, ceiling is what I would call it, where you're full pen and maybe you're missing like pen accessories. I just started like hard swiping. Like I croned stuff and I sold them for silver, and I bought stuff with the money I made. That's how I got past that hard cap.
So you didn't initially swipe in video?
Not from the beginning. In the beginning, you see my transaction history. I think I'm about at 160K. So like a lot of people think I'm a lot more in. I'm like 160K in on Steam records, and that's including all the other Steam games too. So I'm not too sure how much exactly in BDO. I would say, to be fair, 140, but I don't know. And at first, I really just bought the tent. Like, the tent is like a must-have for new players.
100%.
Yeah, $49, 4,900 pearls, I think. And Sometimes on discount, it's just something that you can repair, something that you can buy HP potions, mana potions, buffs, and whatnot from. And I think that was the first item I ever really got into. And then getting the maids where you can take stuff from the storage and sell stuff in the market remotely, not physically being at the NPCs. And that was the second thing I really got. And then later on, it was I think 2 years ago, the only thing I really swiped for was my pen dandy, and back then it was really expensive to swipe. That pen
Hmm.
did yeah, that pen dandy.
Yeah, that was the best ratio, and they kept buffing it, but I felt like it wasn't really worth it up until so more recently, even.
Uh, that brings up a very interesting, thinking process of mine. I just think, uh, like they're trying to. It's inevitable almost for players who've played a long time, 2 years, 3 years, to start quitting because of real life commitments. A lot of people start playing when they're students and they have a job, and then they have a wife, and then they have a family, and then they start dropping the game, and then they lose players. The only way for new players to be attracted is to make the entry barrier lower. And they're introducing seasonals, which is not necessarily a pay to win thing. They're introducing Oasis gear and a lot of these other things to encourage new players to come in. But for new players to really catch up, I don't think they really need to swipe. Some people want to expedite the process. They don't understand. I think a lot of the new players do not understand how long it used to take people to get the gear they have given to them for free. And that's why they don't need to pay to win. I mean, of course, if you're one of those hardcore PvPers and you really, really want to get all the gear in the game, I mean, you can feel free to swipe, but like swiping thousands and $10,000 or $100,000 into a game and making that much gains when what you have is not that much different without having to swipe from those who swipe. I mean, it's a personal preference, I think, at that point.
So you think, or you're saying that, or I guess currently swiping. I'm assuming you're still currently spending, right, in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I buy out all the costume outfits. The Radiant box is purely for my gambling addiction, for just rolling
Okay.
the.
So you're saying you're doing it for not to get ahead necessarily of like so much that people that don't spend can compete, but just because you can.
What I really swipe for at my point when you're like, well, let's put it into different segments. Back then, when I was 660 gear score, when I didn't have full pen accessories, I swiped for Caphras because I really just wanted to be complete, like everything to be done, everything to be C20, Caphras 20 on my gear, on my weapon, full pen accessories. Like I really wanted that. That's why I swiped when I was around 660. When I was around 690, it became more of a all my friends are catching up. I need to run away from
Okay.
my friends. And then it really pushed me. I mean, at 690, I already felt strong enough to beat anybody and die to anybody still because gear is only so useful in this game when you're above 660. Like if you're 680, 690, 700, you're fighting against somebody who's 660 who's got around 300 and up AP with Kudum or Nuver. They will one combo you if they're a good player, right?
After Succession, I don't think it matters anymore. Succession
It,
classes can just melt you, regardless of your tankiness.
Yeah, it just becomes so irrelevant. And that's why I kind of regret swiping that much. But at the same time, right? I look back sometimes at my VODs and my history, and I realize a lot of the money I put into this game is wasted. Let's say when there was one period of time where I decided to sell all my TED accessories. That was before I had full pen. I sold all my TED accessories and I bought out costumes from the market and from the per shop, and I started tapping more TED accessories. I filled everything. And just getting all those TED accessories back after selling them, that alone cost me 10K US dollars. Just like for no reason, I spent that. And that is one incident. Another more stupid situation was when I got so bored, I decided to start swiping, tap pen armor, sold them, got the silver, started tapping Manos accessories, which is a whole new world basically in this game. Manos accessories, I'm sure everybody who's done analysis out there knows that it's just not worth going for Tet. But I just kept tapping, kept tapping. When I get Tet, I sell Tet, I buy try. When I fill everything, I swipe again. I liquidate all the costumes I buy off the Pearl shop. I buy Manos, I tap again, and that's another 30, 40K wasted. So there's a lot of money that I wasted in this game. And this game, just that much you can pay for, you know? There's not infinite things you can really buy in this game unless you have gambling issues and you just want to swipe.
Do you think you have gambling issues?
I think for me, it's for the entertainment. It's like I don't want to dive too much into like real life and everything for me, but like in my case, it's more of a I need something to do when I have nothing else going on in real life. Like my family isn't living with me. I am alone in the U.S. My girlfriend's not here. I was like, there's just a bunch of factors that factor in, and then Corona season, you don't go out. You're literally stuck home, and you have nothing else to do, and that's a big reason why I think I swiped during February and March the hardest. I swiped I think 2K a day for a whole month, which is like 60K for that month, and that was the hardest swipe I think in a month for me.
I think an interesting question would be if you're comfortable with it. Is this swiping? So you say 2K a day at the peak, right? Is this swiping affecting your life with your income, or is this 2K just you don't even need to look at your balance?
Oh, I mean, to be honest, for me, like I tell everybody who watches my stream, I live a self-sufficient lifestyle, but at the same time, you also have to keep in mind a lot of people have to take care of their families, their parents, especially in our Asian culture. It's like you have to take care of your parents. And however, my parents are just well off, so I do not need to worry at all for them. And I think having that not being a burden for me allows me to spend my money more freely than other people would because they still have a lot more concerned, a lot to be concerned about than I do. So it doesn't really, for your question, it doesn't really let me look at my bank and be like, oh, there's a change. No, I don't notice. I think you swipe however much you feel comfortable with, as long as it's not hurting you or affecting your lifestyle. I think that's healthy.
I would say that's where an addiction, gambling addiction, comes from, right? If you're spending more than you can actually afford, then that's where it starts to be problematic.
Yeah, I agree. As long as you're not hurting yourself or people around you for the money you're spending, I think nobody should judge how much you spend in the game and how you decide to use the money you earned.
Most people are in around their 20s. Even the idea of spending 2,000 a day in a game is definitely crazy, or I would say a lot of people. And also, I guess that's where the bad connotation, the negative connotation around whales come from.
About the whales, I just feel like if you decide to spend your time in the game, let's say if I decide not to work and I decide to spend the same amount of time in the game, I don't think I would make as much gains as I do now. Like I just work in real life, I make the money I make, and then I spend it in the game, a portion of it in the game, and then it still leaves me extra money. And I think it's just you decide on what you want to do. You could be a whale with money or you can be a whale with time, right? Time is money too. You have to keep that in mind. It's like if you decide to whale away 20 hours of your day, a day, every day for a year into BDO, so be it. I mean, that's a whale of time, I guess. It's either a whale of money or whale of time. It's your choice. It's a grinding game, right?
Which probably will get the same gear as you have right now.
Exactly.
BDO is, as you mentioned, right? You guess you said you have some form of regret because people are catching up. But BDO has always been about progression. Do you spend money knowing that the progression that you get from it will eventually just get nullified by the game going forward?
I think the catching up mechanisms in games are necessary. And I think if you ask me, am I mad about it? I don't think I'm actually mad because what I paid for it is for the entertainment at the present, at the moment. At that moment, I become stronger. And that's what it counts for. It's just like when let's say for a game that doesn't really have any, no pay to win. Let's say League of Legends, no pay to win. You buy a skin. After a few days or a few weeks, you're sick of that skin. do you regret it? I feel like half the people would say, yeah, I regret buying that skin. I don't think it was worth it. There's a new skin now. I mean, it's essentially the same thing. It's for that moment of entertainment and enjoyment that you spend the money for. And if you regret it later on, too bad. You had your fun. Now it's time to move on.
You said you did regret spending so much. Is there anything specific you regret spending in video?
Manos accessories was the most regrettable. Manos is just painful. Like, I strongly recommend against it for all new players coming into the game. You might be lucky. You might hit a few tries in a row. You might hit 4, 5, 6, 7 tries in a row. And then you'll be like me and you fail like 12, 13, 15, 16, 17 tries in a row. And you'd be like, oh my, I guess it was a bait. And then you go for tets. I hit 2 tets back to back on a Manos accessory, which is approximately 34 bill back then. And then I went for more, right? And I lost all 8 attempts and failed everything, and all the money is gone. So I just feel like Manos is a waste of money, especially after failing. I decided to start swiping and selling costumes to refill that silver and keep tapping. And I think that's just a money sink, which nobody should really go into.
It's just gambling in general.
That's just pure gambling and wasting money.
How much gear? You said you didn't really spend much at the start, right? How much gear you had before going full pay to win, and how much you got after, or how fast you got gear afterwards?
I think back then, the only thing that I really swiped for was my Pet and Dandy, and that was about 5, 6K. I think for Pet and Dandy alone was 5, 6K. And then maybe, I think I might have swiped 2 pen pieces back then. I was like about maybe 8K in total. And that was when like costumes were 80 mil, 100 mil each, like premium. And that was when you really had to swipe for it if you really wanted to cheat or be ahead of the curve. So that was when I was about, let's say, 269 and 320, which is very high gear score back then. Like, I'm talking about 2 years ago when level 63 was still amazing. Now, I mean, after, I think this year alone, I probably swiped about 90, 100. Last year, probably 30. And the year before that, about 10, 20. So like, it became a increment. This year, I think, I still think the main reason this year is because Corona season, because I have nothing else to do. Otherwise, I go out and drink, go out and eat and dine. And I mean, my lifestyle outside of BDO is also pretty luxurious. I do spend on a lot of things, expensive food, expensive clothes. But now that I'm not buying all these fashion brands, all these Michelin restaurants, it's just like, you just save a lot of money from it. And you just like, I still want to get the same entertainment I used to get. Let's perhaps swipe on BDO. At first, it was entertaining. And then it became Manos. And then Manos just doomed me. And then now I'm just focused on Devareka necklace, as you can see.
All right. You mentioned the I guess you played older games. You played WoW before. Do you play older games with BDO, beside BDO, or is BDO like your only game right now?
I play Teamfight Tactics from League, right? That's a pretty fun game. I play a little bit of Classic WoW because my friends wanted me to play at level to 60, and I stopped playing because they all quit. I play some League of Legends, play some Sea of Thieves. I play a lot of other games too, but like only when my friends ask me. Even Pummel Party, like mini games, or even Deceit, Kate Universe, Tabletop Simulator. A lot of these other games I do play, but mostly BDO.
And like from what I can tell, it's not like you just dump money into a game right away. As you said, 269 was pretty high back then. So do you find yourself not pay to winning in games in general until you're really comfortable with it, or like do you not really have an approach? You just do it when you feel like?
I mean, for me, it's really just like the latter. It's more like when I really feel like I need to, or when I'm sure everybody, or not, if not everybody, most people in BDO feel the frustration when they fail numerous pen attempts and be like, this game sucks. I really do just want to quit and never play this game again. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people feel like that. And when I feel like that, I guess I just started swiping. And that was my fix to that issue, or else I would have quit the game. It was either waste all the progress I've made, or I spent some money and stay in the game. And that's how I convinced myself to swipe every time And gradually, I had a few other friends who I think peer pressure actually is very big too. I have a few friends in my guild, Chinese people, Chinese players. A guy who just came in for like maybe about 8 months, he spent around 80K US dollars into the game, like 8 months. And I'm just like, that's crazy too. Like, and I think seeing other people in my guild spending like that just encourages me to do the same. So the
Okay.
peer you're with, yeah.
Okay, interesting you say that. I think it applies not only with pay to win in BDO. It's just a lot of people base their progression. They compare themselves to others, to friends or to guild mates. And in your case, it's probably very extreme. you have people that also swipe a lot, so you feel peer pressure to do the same. Another question that maybe is related to you being Asian. So let's try not to go on the racist side of things here. But
Okay,
I
of
have
course
heard,
not.
so I'm not sure if you can even answer this question. I have heard that in the Asian community, it is just more well accepted to pay to win in games.
So in terms of Asian, I can't speak on behalf of the whole Asian community,
Yeah, of
but I'll
course.
speak on what I've seen in China when I was in China. There are so many games out there in China that are developed poorly, and I say poorly, and I really mean the games aren't good. However, people spent a lot of money in them, and I mean, a lot as in some people spent maybe 1 million US dollars up to 10 million US dollars in extreme cases. And I mean, you question yourself. You're like, why do these people spend money like this? I'm not sure. I don't want to go into politics on how these people make their monies and all that in real life. Some people might even be an insider of the company trying to bait people to spend more money. And that's something that you see a lot in China, where people from within the company try to bait you into competing with them and spend money with you. I've had a friend who spent a lot of money, a lot more than I have in a Chinese game. And then the company came to him and he's like, sir, you might just want to show on your spending. The people who are spending with you are insiders, and maybe you just calm down. Like, there are cases like that in China. And
That's crazy.
it is crazy, but it's a real story that I've heard, and people around me have done the same too. So it's just that bad there. So the spending culture is completely different. If you don't spend to pay to win in China, you're looked down at. If you're able to swipe and pay to win in China, you're looked as somebody who is beyond everybody else, who is rich, it's a demonstration of power in China more than
You're
something to
flaunting
criticize.
your wealth.
Yes, basically, you're showing your wealth. Yeah.
All right. So I guess this is also why most of Asian games are pay to win.
I
If
think it's a
not all.
cultural difference. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, you would say that in general, the player base doesn't see pay to win as a bad thing in Asia or in China. Or what is the take of the average player?
I mean, people who are salty will always be salty. There's always salty people and mad people in all communities.
Mhm.
Majority of people in China who play video games would actually try to leech off their GM. I know people meme about estimate swipes for his guildies and yada yada yada, which I can tell you is not true. We host tournaments in the guilds, and we have different people sponsor for the tournaments, not just me. Maybe $100 for an AOA, $50 for a top frag for a node, where we have things like that in this guild. And that's as far as it goes. But in China, you literally have people like rich Chinese people, really rich, sponsor their whole guild full of accounts with millions and millions and millions of dollars and just let them play with them as guildies. And that's just something that you also see in China. And
All
I
right.
never understood that. I never would agree with doing that. It's like wasting money. But I mean, these people actually have millions of US dollars as chump change. Then I mean, go for it. I don't have that, so I don't do that.
What do you think about, in general, real money trade? Well, I guess we talked about buying accounts at the start, but more like paying people to grind on your account, or paying people to sell you items, pen accessories, stuff like that. What's your take on it?
I mean, the thing with all the people playing on your account and paying people for pieces of armors and weapons, I mean, I almost feel like you cannot track it because people can use VPNs, And then also you have to know that sometimes when people are doing RMT for items, especially, they don't go through player auctions. They just ask a friend of friends. So it's almost untrackable. I mean, as long as you're not promoting it explicitly, I think you will there will be no like it's hard for them to take action on you. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, of course, but I'm just saying it's something that we see. And I think what they should really look into for Kakao and PA is when the players are doing the silver transferring through I'm not sure if you're aware of how they do it. It's just a couple days ago, or a couple weeks ago, actually, on any market for often tets at Pry and Duel, the profit margin is about 300 or 400 mil from Pry to Duel for often
Mhm.
tets, and that's through silver transferring. So I enhance, for example, a Pry often to Duel. I sell it to you at max price. You buy it, you try to upgrade it to try or whatever, and then you downgrade it to pry and you sell it to me at min price. And we just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And every time you do that, it's a 200 mil to 300 mil profit after tax. And people do that by buying an account, emptying it out, selling all its items, liquidating all the silver, and then flipping that silver over to your account. Of course, you lose tax money. Sometimes there are other people who actually want to buy the pry off and actually want to sell dual often, and then somebody might interrupt your process of silver transferring. But that's something that's explicit and well known to the community, a method of uh, just moving silver over from one account to another.
Kakao has not ever really done anything for this to be punished, because it's also really hard to punish. It almost has become normal in a way.
I think in NA it has become a norm of having somebody else grind in your account, doing the silver transferring, and doing the what do you call it, the RMT for an item to be listed.
Mhm.
Like there has never been action taken, and more or less, I feel like almost 80%, 90% of the community has done one or the other. So I mean, if that's the case, is Kakao really going to ban 80% of their player base? Because they can't do it fairly unless they kill everybody in this case.
Would you say the percentage is that high in NA?
I really do think so, because back then there was also sea monster hunting, right, and all
Mhm.
that. And then I really do think so, more or less. People just don't talk about it, but it doesn't mean they don't do it. And I think NA especially is really heavy on that side. I just think so. And unless I'm not sure about the new players coming in, but I'm just thinking about everybody who's played on NA and are still playing on NA. More or less, I think 80% is a good guess on people who are involved in one form or the other.
And game players.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Maybe I'm blind to it, but I don't think the number is even remotely close to that. And
On EU, I do not know. I just think on NA, it's just I'm not sure if you guys have all these advertisements in World Chat and all that all the time.
I have WordChat disabled for like 2-3 years now. I wouldn't know, but I don't think so. I think
Mhm.
it's I'm gonna self roast my region, but I think it's just the wage gap. Like, in general, the average EU player probably makes less money, so
That might
there's
be
less money to spend.
that might be possible. I think it's also the community. I think in NA, it's also mindset, right? In NA,
As we say, peer
uh,
pressure. If all your friends do it, why wouldn't you do it? And they're progressing faster than you, so you feel pressure to do the same.
and you don't see your friends banned, and you're like, "Ah, it has to be safe. Let's join them." I just feel like that's probably the mentality. And I'm not sure about the work style in EU. People, I'm guessing, I heard from a lot of my friends who were living in EU, play in NA. I feel like they have a little more freedom than people from NA. People in NA, I feel like just have a more fixed job where you have to commit. And I feel like a lot of the jobs in the EU or people living in European countries are a little more laid back. You get a little more freedom. You have a little more time at leisure to do what you want to do. I feel like NA, we are a bunch of robots, and we just work that 9 to 5, 9 to 6 job, and then have no time to really play. And I think that might be another reason why there's a discrepancy on how many people do RMTs and all that in the two regions.
This is a question actually someone I know wanted to ask you. If there's a point where pay to win becomes too expensive, is there something you would never swipe on in BDO? It's like you saw it on the cash shop and you thought, oh, that's crazy. I would never do that.
Yeah, the pen, what is it? Pen Dead God Armor of the Fallen God. Like that 0.03% chance is just a money sink. It's like, unless it's something like that, otherwise I would be willing and able to swipe on. But for something like that, even if I were to dump 10 million into that item, it still might not go. It's 0.03%. Like, you must be kidding to think that would go. Unless it's something ridiculous like that, I don't think anything will stop me from doing what I've been doing.
And I guess latching onto that, how do you do what you're doing? Like, how do you pay to win in BDO? Is it that you do usually?
Okay, how do I usually pay to win in BDO? I used to sell costumes every week, like everybody else does. And I realized
35, right?
Yeah, 35 costumes weekly, max them out every Sunday, swipe the card, buy, sell on Marketplace, do not stop, repeat every Sunday. Now, a little different because I don't need the money, I don't need the silver, I need my Deboreka, I need Cron Stones. So I just swipe for costumes and then I melt them down and I keep the Cron Stones and I tap. Between these two phases, there was also a phase before Deboreka became such a thing for me, where I was already full gear, I had nothing to do, and that's the Manos time. Other than selling the costumes weekly, all the other money, every day 2K, every day 2K, all that other money was made. I bought costumes, I melt them, I tap pen armors, I might have made over 100 something pen armors, sold them in NA. A bunch of people tell me they have my names on their pieces of gear. I mean, they just buy my pen armors, and then that's how I make my silver. And I buy Manos with the money, fail them, rinse and repeat every day.
So pretty much just buying costumes and selling. I would assume they went on sale?
Yes, usually. There was also a period of time, I'm not sure if you're aware, that there was not so many costumes on sale in the pro shop. That's usually like a big thing when costumes go on sale, but now it's just like a normal thing. But back then, when there was no costumes on sale, I still just bought out the 3.4Ks at full price.
Okay.
Yeah, just went ham. Couldn't resist. But I think this game is also very playable without all these pay to win. Like, I've seen people who spent only very minute amount of money, like $500, $400, $300, and they're still like 630, 640 gear score today. And some of these people did not start from the very beginning. They started maybe halfway, maybe a little after the beginning or the launch of the servers, and they're still geared now, and they're still able to fight all these people who's whaled over $100,000, $50,000. They're still able to fight them and beat them. So I think this game is not a pay to win, rules the game kind of game. It's a pay to win game, but only to a very limited extent to how much it is affecting the strength and power of a player who pay to wins.
I think if you just throw money at the game, but you don't play the game, you don't really get anything out of it.
And your PvP skills would be worse than mine.
Yeah.
You don't spend time.
Yeah, I guess the shout out, if you want to promote anything or anything you want to say, I'll leave in the video.
Just one thing for everybody who's watching and listening to this video. Enjoy the game, play it, don't get hot-headed, and spend wisely. Don't waste. And that's all, I think.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was eye-opening. It was fun, most importantly. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
All right, no problem, Heedun. I hope you make a good video. Send me the link.
So too.
I'll promote.
If you actually watched the entire video and you're here till the end, I just want to thank you. It means a lot to me. Kisses.